Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting Art of War stream. I'm John, this is Jack, and today we are bringing you another excellent episode of Fix My List.
That's right, there were lists out there, John. They're unfixed. I cannot abide.
Absolutely. This is our weekly segment where we take lists from our community members to review, and we try to fix them. We try to take lists given to us by our wonderful community members and see if we can improve them. Now, we've had some recent changes in the game, as recently as yesterday.
Yes.
So, through no fault of their own, some people's lists need to be fixed.
Yes, they extra need to be fixed. They are now illegal.
Yeah.
Yes. So
well, that's a good place to start.
That's a great place to start. So people who are looking at their list being like, damn, I submitted my list, now it's illegal. And what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to update it for the future? Well, worry not.
All right. So, real quick, if you are looking at this show and you enjoy it and you think, golly gee, I want to see more from Art of War. Well, what you're going to want to do is like this video, maybe even share with your friends, leave a comment. We always appreciate that. But the biggest thing is subscribe. If you subscribe, you're going to get notified every time we go live. It really helps us out. It helps us grow as a channel. It helps us continue to do this. So if you want to keep watching Art of War videos forever and ever and also let me pay rent,
thank you, please.
Subscribe. That's awesome. As well, make sure you check out the link in the description below. That'll get you to the War Room. That's where some of the best players in the world are there to teach you how to, improve your game, and you'll be part of the wonderful Art of War community. So, if you want to become your best, make sure you check out that link. Get that free 3-day trial to the War Room. All right, Jack. What's Fix My List about?
Quentin's not here, so there is no fun fact from Quentin. There could be a fun fact from Jack. All 3 of these armies were hit by the balance patch.
Why you gotta do that to me?
I'm sorry, I don't know. Alright, getting into list number 1, we've got Astro Boy's Tyranids. I know what you're thinking. Tyranids weren't ripping up the meta. Why did they get changed? Well, why did they get changed, John?
Alright, so the list that is sent to us has a 40-point Biovores, which GW could not abide. But Astro Boy has graced us with a wonderful monster mash with the Tyranid invasion fleet. So let's read through the list as it is right now. We've got Old One-Eye, a Hive Tyrant with Adaptive Biology. That's the one that gives a feel no pain to the gentleman. Always appreciated. You never want him to die.
Yes. 2
Tyrannifex with Acid Spray, 3 Exocrines, a Carnifex, a Maliceptor, 6 Zoanthropes, 3 Zoanthropes, 3 Zoanthropes, 10 Gargoyles, and 2 Biovores. So leaning heavy into the Monster Mash. Then we've got a couple of Zoanthrop squads. I can always get behind that. And then we're just looking at a couple Biovores to help out with the scoring and a Gargoyle unit.
Absolutely. So Astro Boy has some notes.
Excellent.
Says, howdy, Art of War. This is my first attempt at a 2K list. Leaning more towards heavy shooting with double Overwatch from the Hive Tyrant. I'm not sure you can do this. Please let me know. Being durable and shooty with mission play from the Biovores and Gargoyles. Well, if this is your first 2K list you have written, you have done quite well.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid start to a NID list. As far as that double Overwatch thing, I'm not entirely sure if it works either. Luckily, neither is GW. Until GW lets us know, I'm defaulting on the safe side of not getting to double Overwatch with that Hive Tyrant rule, but it's a little unclear.
Yeah, they did not clarify at all.
Yeah,
so
Ozerman makes it messier.
Yes,
jerk.
Yes, I don't want Ozerman. I don't want Ozerman double Overwatching.
So we're leaning into a shooty heavy Tyrannid list, and with that context, we're looking at quite monster heavy. And then, of course, the Zoanthropes are going to do good work as well. I love the Maliceptors, love the Exocrines. So going through this, there's a lot of good Tyranid data sheets. Tyranids are one of those Xenos armies that's actually lucky enough to have a large diversity of units.
Yeah, not Votam where you would you like your infantry squad or your other infantry squad? Those are your options.
Luckily, we can play around with this a little bit. I like everything that's in here. The Tyrannifex are a good unit to go upfield. They're very tough. They're I think they're T12, 15 wounds, -1 damage with a 2-up save.
15? I thought they were more than that. I can find out.
I remember maybe they're 16, but
I think they're 16. Yeah, I
think they're 15. We'll find out real fast.
Tyrannifex.
All right,
16 wounds.
There we go.
But a toughness 12, 16 wounds with a 2-up save and -1 damage. We're looking at something that approaches the durability of a Wraith Knight.
It is stunningly close to an unbuffed Wraith Knight. It's 2 wounds off.
Yeah, 2 wounds off.
And it's a lot cheaper.
Significantly cheaper. Now, of course, it doesn't have the stupid, here's a million mortal wounds and da-da-da-da and go home. But what it does have is insanity durability, decently fast move speed, And the Acid Spray is not a bad gun. Decent Overwatch piece.
Yep. Yeah, the Tyranids is a pretty good Overwatch piece. D6 plus 6 at 6/2/2. Doesn't ignore cover natively, but still auto-hitting with Torrent is quite valuable.
And advance and shoot if you're near the Hive Tyrant. Mm-hmm. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, the Hive Tyrant's great. So, I like the Tyranids. I like the Exocrines. I have been a little bit kind of waffly on Exocrines, frankly, just because sometimes they're awesome, sometimes they're not. And it leaves me wanting. It leaves me wanting more things.
Yeah.
Other things I like in this list. I love Biovores. I love Zoanthropes. I think 2 Biovores is the minimum. Now, of course, we're going to have to adjust the fact that those 2 Biovores went up a net 50 points. Yeah, those poor boys cost 65 now.
It's rough, bro. Sorry, it's a whole new world out there. Your Biovores don't get to take over the meta anymore.
I know, I'm very sad. The one thing that I'm a little less sold on, I liked it on paper and I tried some games, is the Carnifex and Old One-Eye. Unfortunately, when you start comparing, if you're just looking purely at how many monsters can I fit in the list, you very quickly run into, okay, let's compare a Carnifex to a Horuspex. And when you realize that they're both 125 points, the comparison gets a little bit, just a little bit weird.
Yeah. So the main goal here, right, with this sort of threat overload style list, is you want to give your opponent no clear decision on where to put their guns, where to put their combat, right? If there's something that is very easy to see and kill and is valuable, and then you've got a bunch of stuff that's annoying to kill and is less valuable, you're not that durable. Because they'll focus on your weak point, hit it for massive damage, and then the rest of your army isn't nearly as strong. You want to spread it out, make everything really obnoxious to kill, and everything like vaguely threatening or threatening.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I would say the value here is in taking things like the Haruspecs, which are dirt cheap, and if they're running up on you, you can't just ignore them, and they're way more durable than a Carnifex.
Yeah, they are. A Carnifex, for reference, actually I believe has a better save, but is significantly lower in the toughness and wounds category. And at the end of the day, I think I've got to prioritize that more if we're looking at the same cost. I like the wounds.
Yeah, 8 wounds is a little.
Yeah, so it's 6 less wounds, 2 less toughness, plus 1 save, same cost. Comes with a Venom Cannon, but having 1 Venom Cannon in a unit just isn't impressive to me. And yes, it's a Venom Cannon that rerolls hits, because there's a good old One-Eye, but again, it's 1 Venom Cannon. And that does not spark joy. Yeah,
and also heavy Venom Cannons their stats have not aged well.
No, they got worse at a time where everything else went up.
Yeah, so they went from 9.34 to 9.23, so strength stayed the same. It used to be that they wounded every vehicle in the game on 3s.
Yeah.
And now they wound most vehicles in the game on 5s.
And on top of that, they went from 3 shots to D3.
D3 Blast, which sometimes makes up for it, oftentimes doesn't.
Yeah, so just a different gun, basically. I like the Maliceptors a lot. I like the Exocrine Carnifex the Exocrine Tyrannifex package. If we're trying to monster mash and be shooty, I actually think I want a second Maliceptor.
Does the Exocrine Tyrannifex package, is that kind of a non-bow because the Exocrines give reroll ones to hit and the Tyrannifex's auto-hit?
It's absolutely a non-bow. It's more just Exocrines are in the back, Tyrannifex are in the front, and yes, you could shoot the Exocrines first because they're more fragile, but like, the Tyrannifex are coming.
Yeah, and the Tyrannifexes are durable to the point where they charge things, do 0 damage, but tie them up and then flame them every turn.
Yeah, or flame out of combat.
Or flame out of combat. You charge into something, and then if your opponent moves nearby, you're like, boom! And then on your shooting phase, boom! And then in their movement phase, you get the point.
You just keep firing those, keep cranking that Tyrannifex lever.
Yeah.
So, where I'm initially thinking here is that I want to cut the Carnifex Old One-Eye package, unfortunately. I think it's still a little bit too fragile in the context of what we're going for here. I like the Maliceptor. It's got a very respectable gun, even though it's a little bit short-ranged. And I like having the...
That is a good gun.
It's a good gun.
That's a good gun, especially if, say, you're giving real hits with Exocrines. Real ones to hit,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course you could have some lethal hits into monsters' vehicles if you needed.
And it's also an aura of -1 to hit for your opponent.
Yep, it's 6 inches, so they have to get pretty close. But it's very funny because I believe if they're battle shocked, it's also -1 to wound. No, it's
if they're below half strength.
Oh, okay, dang it.
Yeah, which is significantly less important. You know what I really want to protect myself from? Units that are below half strength, please.
Units that are almost dead.
Yes.
Okay, so cutting Carnifex and Old One-Eye, that's 140 plus 75 because I'll cancel out the Biovores.
Yep.
Basically means we're at 215.
Okay.
Assuming that this was 2K going in, which I'm not really sure if it was or wasn't.
Yep, I'll find out. I'm doing the math. Boo boo.
All right. Yeah, I kind of want
We have 220 points left.
Okay, cool. So it's 1995. I don't mind adding more Biovores, but I think we're going to probably stick at 2.
Yeah. I want more monster in this list.
I always want more Zoanthropes, literally always. But I think with about 220 points, I want to try and optimize monsters as much as possible.
Yeah.
So let's think about how do we do that.
We could take more Maliceptors.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty not bad. They're not amazing, but they are pretty not bad.
So what is... So kind of the options that I want to add, because I'm not sure what points comp is going to work here, because there's not a lot of granularity of the points. I like Horsepex as cheap-ish, let's take up some space. Maliceptors is a 40-point premium for a gun and a 4-up emblem, which is nice to have.
That's pretty nice to have.
40-point upgrade is worth something there. They're both not amazing in combat, but the Horsepex is decidedly better.
Yes.
If we added 2 Horsepex, we'd be about 30 points over.
Yes, we would be exactly 30 over. I mean, what we could do is we could add a Maliceptor. I don't think we're getting 2 monsters in 220.
Unless we
cut. What are you thinking of cutting?
Honestly, what I'm thinking of cutting is 1 Tyrannifex. Because
I feel like that's if you take 1, you take 2 kind of piece.
But here's the thing, is that if you're just jamming it up to shoot Overwatch, you don't need Overwatch twice, because if we're assuming that doesn't work. And then it's, oh yeah, you can turn off my Overwatch and just start on the most durable monster.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like 2 Tyrannifexes is the point where your opponent can't deal with them, and so stops trying, and then gets...
You know, then you get to run at them.
Yeah,
maybe.
you get Tyrannofex them over.
Aha.
But it is 200 points tied up in a thing.
Yeah.
But it's also that's the only front line that the list currently has is the Tyrannifexes.
I figure the Maliceptors are also running up like right behind it. But yeah, we could keep 2 Tyrannifex because they're awesome. If we wanted more guns, I could always recommend Barbed Heracles, but frankly, I think that I'd rather...
Say Barbie?
They're 305. They are thick.
They're thick. They're not bad.
They're not as thick as a Tyrannifex. They just shoot harder, but they don't Overwatch.
Yeah.
So I think we keep the Tyrannifex in. We could basically do a monster and some chaff pieces. Like if we maybe cut 1 Exocrine, replaced it with a Maliceptor, that's essentially plus 30. I was going to say don't do that yet, but fair enough. It is that fast, so. If we did that, that's a 30-point upgrade. Just see what that looks like. And then I'm wondering, with 190 points left, can we get, like, 2 monsters and some cheap stuff?
2 monsters?
I'm sorry, 1 monster and 2 cheap things. I completely said that backwards.
It's like
I'm thinking, because what other things that I want here, actually, is Pyrovores.
I mean, what I could see is if you cut a Tyrannifex, you pay 50... No, hold on. Yeah, you pay 50 extra points. You could cut a Tyrannifex clean in half and end up with 2...
2 Horsepexes?
2 Horsepexes, yeah.
Yep. So, I'm feeling that I want to get a Pyrovore in here, or 2.
So Astro Boy, by the way, is in chat.
Yes, and owns a Barbed Heracule.
A Barbed Heracule is good.
It is pretty good. It's very thick. It's a Tyrannifex with plus 2 wounds, but no -1 damage. But then it's 105 points from that point to get much better combat, much better guns.
I mean, you could upgrade it. Honestly, what I would do here is not upgrade a T-Fex. I would smash the 2 of them together.
Into a Barbed Heracule.
And you would end up with more stuff.
Yep.
With which you would kind of need to probably turn it into Heraspexes.
Yeah.
Like, I could totally see 2 T-Fexes go clap. How many points is a Barbie again?
305. So
305. So you'd end up with 95. Mm-hmm. So then you add 2 Heraspexes, and is there something for 35 points?
You put a Pyrovore in for 30. and a Pyrovore is just an on-command boop ignore cover.
How do we feel about that? So that would be Hive Tyrant, Barbie, double Exocrine, double Maleceptor, double Haruspex, and then a
Barbie,
a solo
Pyrovore, and then the right column is unchanged.
Yes.
That is not bad. So, my experience was that I wanted more than one Pyrovore. And so I really want to have just one or two more solo Pyrovores chilling out in there. Just because a single Pyrovore is not a great damage dealer. But it's a cool run out, plink a target, and say everyone else ignores cover at you. And the Tyrannifex, the Exocrine, and the Maleceptor, as well as the Barbed Pterodactyl, are all packing a fun variety of AP 2 and 3 weapons. And
ignoring cover
is almost always relevant for all of those.
Yeah.
So I really want to have 90 points. I want 3 solo Pyrovores because they can, in a pinch, you don't have a ton of units in this list. And the ones you do usually want to activate. So in a pinch, a Pyrovore can hold an objective as well.
Could that be the 6 Zoanthropes become 3 Zoanthropes? Because we already have a lot of shooting. And then you end up with, 3 Pyrovores and you still 35 points.
Yeah, the idea of less Zoanthropes is unexciting to me. Because I love them. I hear you. I see where you're coming from.
I hear you.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't really see anywhere if we want to get the Barbie in, and I do think the Barbie.
I do like the Barbie a lot.
The other nice thing. Oh no, this does give up Fix because it has Bring It Down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely.
It definitely does.
Definitely does. Yeah, the only other thing would be to downgrade a monster, like for example, replace one Maleceptor with an Exocrine,
and then you get 30 points.
You get 30 points, which is another.
A second Pyrovore. It doesn't get you the third one,
but
maybe 2 is
nice.
Fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't. I like having the Maleceptor. The Maleceptors do a lot of damage when they have the real one. So it's like an Exocrine Maleceptor combo. You're just bing,
it's
bing,
a bunch of damage.
Bing, bing.
Damage 3 dropping on a target.
Yeah, and also having these things right behind your just giving out that -1 to hit to enemy units is a big deal for preventing your opponent from getting through your front lines.
So looking at a Maleceptor compared to an Exocrine, a Maleceptor's gun is the same profile at half range, +2 strength, -1 AP.
One worse AP, yeah.
Yeah, worse AP. And then, is that significantly better than just it's 30 points more and then comes with an invuln. Half ranges.
And also has an aura of -1 to hit for enemies.
Yeah, enemies within 6 inches.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
That's probably worth it. Yeah, okay, so let's keep the Maleceptors. Yeah, I think we end up with I think we do cut the Zoanthropes down to 3-3-3.
I know it's sad, right?
It is sad, but that at least does, because I think realistically now we're spending the Phenopanes on monsters, not on Zoes.
And that's the point where Zoanthropes are kind of not amazing, and we also have an overload of shooting.
Yes. And that gives us, I believe, room to do 4 Pyrovores from here. If we then...
All right, our monitor decided to die. Thank you very much.
Thank you, monitor. If we... I don't even know if we get to see that or not. Yeah, if we replace that there...
It's just our monitor decided the power plug or whatever. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I think then 4 Pyrovores, we go just 2-1-1, just to have them in different spots. Yeah. We could also do... we don't need that acid spray anymore.
Does it have fixed guns?
Fixed weapons, yeah. You don't have to say a single thing there.
Done.
Barbed Pterodactyl has what it has. Get that Tyrannifex out of there.
Bink.
All right. And then I think there were 2 Horospexes that snuck their way in here.
That's correct.
I do like adding Horospex.
Horospex.
125.
He's the dirt cheap.
Yeah, he is not expensive.
I mean, we could get that third Exocrine in instead, because we have some points left over. Mm-hmm. Or... No, that's basically it. We don't have the points to do much of anything else.
Yep. And then I think this leaves us 125, which let me... I'll do a quick total just to make sure that I've got it right.
If you wouldn't mind.
245 plus 305. Woo, those are some cheap monsters.
They certainly are,
I like
aren't
that
they?
price tag. All right.
Lets you get a lot of nonsense in there, too. I think this list is under by 35, if I have done my math correct.
I believe that's the case. 290. Yep, exactly 35 under. So I think that we are definitely...
Oh, hold on. Astro Boy just finished painting 12 zoanthropes.
Just finished painting the 12? All right, we can...
I think we can put...
I
kind of want to put in 2 units of 6, so you can pop that 5 up Feel No Pain without it being a waste.
I do like that. If we had kept it as 633, I was going to recommend 66 instead. I'd like 6 Zoes a lot for the Feel No Pain.
I kind of want to find room for it back in there.
All right, so to do that, if you wouldn't mind, if we're doing 6s, we're doing 2 6s.
Yeah, that's because... The way this works is if your opponent sees a target they can shoot at, is it worth you spending your CP to give 5 of Feel No Pain to a 3-man zoanthrope? Is that really going to dissuade them? It really won't. Mm-hmm. So having access to a unit that is hyper tough, like a 6-man zoanthrope, they fire damage 3 at it, you pop the 5 of Feel No Pain, and you tell them to kick rocks.
Yeah. So right there, I believe we're now 60 points over.
I think we're 55, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, 55 points over. 10 gargoyles are just looking a little cuttable right now, but I want them.
Easy clap.
I want them, though.
Get out of my list.
Jack, I want them.
Sorry, they're already gone.
Come on.
Once you signed off on their execution, they were dead men.
I never signed off on their execution.
Oh, well, you should have chosen your words more carefully. So that gets us 25 points, if I don't miss my guess. So with 25 points, is there anything we can realistically do?
20, so hold on. So from that point, we added 2 Pyrovores, and then took off the Gargs. And 1980 is a heck of a thing. 1980 could be replace a Horus Specs with an Exocrine.
Yeah.
Just more gun.
Yeah, just more gun. Is there a monster that is in the 145 range?
Honestly, we could take Old One-Eye by himself because he's actually kind of good.
But without a
no, he's not having any friends.
Let me look at this guy's stats. Toughness 9 with 9 wounds and a 2-up save. And Feel No Pain 5+. And he hits pretty hard. And he heals at the start of each player's... Yeah, this guy's going in. How many points is he?
He's 140.
Easy. I've never seen anything easier in my life.
All right, so you think replace that with an Old One-Eye?
Yep. And then... This is kind of the rough editing, but you get it.
Yeah, you get the point.
I've never had so much pressure to get my typing correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do think Old One-Eye is just a better Horus Specs.
Yeah, he's a little more expensive, but the 2-up save is nice. He's also a little easier to hide. He's about the same speed. He loses the reroll hits, unfortunately, because he's not leading a unit. But he is very annoying to kill, and him coming with a 5 of Feel No Pain makes him a little bit hard.
Yeah, you get reroll hits if you give him a homie, but you also make him inefficient at that point, and then I'm not interested. Yeah,
the other thing that we could do with the points is we could cut some Pyrovores to try to get Neurogons on the list because they're nice and cheap. I also value the chaff a lot, but I think that in this case, if we need to screen, we just toss solo Pyrovores out for the 1 turn we need to before Spore Mines become the screens.
Yep. Most matchups, I would say, Pyrovores are going to come in off a board edge and do an action, or are going to walk onto an objective and do an action.
Yeah, usually the Spore Mines are doing actions unless you need to you need to hold the objective while you do the action, then suddenly the Pyrovore becomes better.
Well, then you walk a monster onto it, do monster stuff, and drop a Spore Mine. The Spore Mine does the action.
Yep, that can also work.
Yeah. So, Spore Mine, pretty good at that. The game plan here is you got a bunch of big monsters your opponent hopefully can't deal with. Go kill them.
Yeah, that's definitely the idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's about it. So you've got Pyrovores, you've got enough to unlock the shooting. With Big Guns Never Tire, it's very hard to shut off monsters.
Yes. And giving them that ignores cover, which is essentially +1 AP.
Yep.
Giving them that ignores cover is a huge deal.
Yeah, anytime people try to get close to you and you can turn off, that's going to be big.
Takeaways here also is if you have a really good defensive strat, i.e. 5 of Feel No Pain,
Slam it out.
It is good to have your durable units be together.
Yes.
Like 2 units of 6 zoanthropes of 6/3/3.
Yes.
Because then if they try to deal with you, 5 of Feel No Pain becomes that much more oppressive. Because they can't just switch targets to the second 3-unit zoanthropes. Mm-hmm. Or they can't bait you out by shooting at a 3-unit zoanthropes and you're like, I won't pop it, dead.
Yep.
You know? So I think this is interesting. You could swap out the Barbie if you don't want to. If you don't want to include them. But if you have a barbed Hierodual, I guarantee you that you want to use it.
That is true. Everyone who owns a barbed Hierodual is looking for an excuse to put it on the table. They're not like, I mean, he's just in the closet. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah, and he's a good unit. Mm-hmm. You know, you have the Haruspecs and Old One-Eye buying you space. You have the Exocrines and Maleceptors shooting, barbed Hierodual shooting, 12 Zoanthropes shooting.
This is definitely still a primarily shooting list, but I think there's enough combat to tell people not to just charge into you with no respect.
Yes.
You know, no one wants to get clapped by a barbed Hierodual and Old One-Eye and a Hive Tyrant. That adds up.
Yeah. And also, I like how everything that they'd want to deal with is in that 140 to 150 range.
Yeah, nothing here is terribly expensive. This is basically trying to maximize how cheap a lot of Nid monsters are by trying to overload it. If your opponent happens to have a massive amount of anti-tank, that's going to be annoying.
Yes. No debate there.
But you can at least try to survive it by throwing 5 of Feel No Pains on a couple of things and then shooting back.
Yes. And if you pick up their anti-monster, anti-tank or whatever before they can really chew through you, then they're in some trouble. Mm-hmm. Because nothing short of dedicated anti-tank is going to realistically crack these things.
Yeah, and if you're going up against tanks yourself, you can at least... There's a lot of volume on these, and now they all roll a hit, so you can just pop army-wide lethal hits, and it will add up.
Old One is a character, right? So he can rumble into a unit, get precision, and go donk, and then we sit here forever.
Yes, he could snipe out a character.
Yeah, that is really good, I think. You rumble up to a unit of Lich Guard, and you just sit there forever after you kill their characters.
Yeah, healing D3 each command phase is pretty funny.
Yeah, your toughness 9, like they wound you on 5s.
2 up save, 5 Feel No Pain, 5 heal.
Yeah, you just sit there forever while you try and deal with the rest of their army.
There we go. All right, I like it.
All right,
so that's our Tyranids Invasion Fleet.
There you go. All right, Astro Boy, glad to have you here. All right, before we go over to the next list, let's answer the super chat we got from Jimmy Guy. $5 super chat from Jimmy Guy. Woohoo! Where do you think Custodians stand in the current meta, and how do you think they fare against GSC Knights and Space Marines?
I think Custodians are living at the top half of the meta right now. I think that they're a little bit off the top 5, but but very much in the top half. Custodians are really good.
They are.
I think they just struggle a little bit into specifically Genius Killer cults. I think that Custodians can actually play fine in the Knights. I don't think that it's, super fun. And Knights is always going to be hey, what's the terrain situation like? Because if terrain is bad, Knights are almost S tier, even with points increases. And if the terrain is a lot of ruins that don't have a plethora of windows, suddenly Knights are just like, oh, this is a good army. But, mortal. If there aren't windows in every ruin on the table, you can play against Knights, you can beat them.
Yeah, you can quite easily beat them, actually.
Yeah, if we were playing GW format, where there generally aren't windows on any of those first floors, I would say that Custodians are actually probably favored in Knights.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Especially since you can drop in behind a wall or something and then walk out and just kill them.
Yep.
So I think Knights are fine. Space Marines are a little interesting.
Space Marines are so diverse that it's hard to say good into Space Marines, bad into Space Marines. Custodians generally don't like indirect, but they don't die to it immediately, and there are some tricks like rapid ingress into Axis to try to get around it. I think Custodians end up being fairly neutral because Space Marines hate getting hit by Custodians. Yes. Custodians profiles are great for killing Space Marines. Space Marines can kill Custodians, which Custodians don't like because they want to be immortal. But I think that one's probably neutral. GSC, I'd say, is uphill. Knights, I think you can actually play into. Overall, I think Custodians' top-end army can compete with most of the other top-end factions.
Yep. We have a super chat here from Votan Syndicate. Says, cheers, lads. Top 3 sisters combo. Send me location.
Votan Syndicate, it should be in the War Room. I can check after this video to see if that's true. I know that it has been recorded. Yes. Because I did that a while ago. So I can make sure, just in case we accidentally missed an upload. We certainly were posting a lot of content. Apologies if we missed one, but it should be in the War Room. Votan Syndicate, if you're in the War Room Discord, could you actually tag me in there? Just to make sure that I can remember it after this video.
Yes.
So, sorry about that, Votan Syndicate. Tag me in the Art of War Discord, and I can check that.
And it's always tough to know if someone says send location, whether they're doing an MMA meme or not, because that is one.
Oh.
All right, but if you are, love you. Okay, before we move on to the next list, which again took a hit in the balanced data slate, I want to just let people know how they can get their lists fixed. If you have a list and you're like, this needs fixing, if you are a member of the War Room and you have access to our Discord, which if you're a member of the War Room, you should, you go to the Fix My List channel and you put your list in there. And then I trawl through them and pick 3 interesting lists and put them in every week.
Absolutely. And we don't pick perfect lists. So if you think your list may not be good enough, don't worry, that's a good thing.
It was an MMA meme. Yes! Send location. I smash your boy. All right, let's go to the next list.
Let's do it.
By Genuinely Pressed 801. Sisters.
Adepta Sororitas.
Adepta Sororitas.
An army after my own heart.
Yes. So these exorcists, sad being 170 point noises.
So this went up 120 points, and Gene's Thorcolt's laughing.
How many points is the Night Crusader now?
60 more. I don't actually know what it is. I just know that they all went up 60. So
yeah,
let's just assume that that's right. Woof. Okay. So let's read through where this is. This is the Triumph of St. Catherine, love. St. Celestine, Dialogus, 10 Battle Sisters with all the tricks, 5 Retributors, 10 Zephyrim, 2 units of Death Cult Assassins, 2 Exorcists, a Castigator, a unit of 2 Penitent Engines, and then a Knight Crusader and a Vindicare Assassin.
Yeah, this went up a clean, even 100 points.
No, it went up 120. Exorcists went up 30 each.
And the Night Crusader went up 60. Oh, I can't math.
Yeah. No,
120.
It's totally okay.
120. And we also have Genuinely Pressed 801 in our chat. It's Relic Scuppin.
Hey!
Who is has been a War Room member for 5 months at the War Room Gold, and I believe a member since before that as well.
Indeed. Welcome, Relic Scuppin. Welcome. So glad we give you your list on. All right, so the biggest problem here, because I like this list, the biggest problem here is the 120 points. GW, come on, this was fine. Come on, this was fine.
Why? I mean, I know why, right? You want to, it was a good change. It just, some people caught strays. And Sisters caught a few strays.
Sisters caught some strays. So we could be very lazy and cut the Penitent Engines and see, the list fits now and just ship it, but that's not what we're going to do. Unfortunately, the cost increase makes me question the value of the Night Crusader. At 415, I could justify a Night Crusader. Now, the downside here is that it's not in a detachment, so it doesn't get the reroll 1s to hit and wound, or the reroll 1. It doesn't get the
doesn't get rotate.
Pain, it doesn't get the stratagems, and since there are, by definition, no Armingers nearby, it can't ask a friend to be +1 ballistic skill. That
is the point where I don't love it. If it's missing 3 rules...
It's missing 3 rules by being an ally. It already was, but 415 was, this might be cheap enough that I can pull this off.
So what I'm hearing is that the list actually went down in points. I'm hearing that there is...
I think that we aren't going to have that knight in yet. I want to because knights are dope, and honestly, I think every single Sisters player has either a knight army or they have a single knight that they put a church on top of, which is always too dope. But I just don't think I can spend 475.
No, I don't think so. Especially not when we're already looking at the rest of the list going up 60 points.
Yeah,
for the Exorcists.
So
that leaves a massive shooting-sized hole in the list.
It means that we essentially have 365 to work with because we cut 415 and then we went up 60.
Yeah, I'll just add it all together just to make 100% sure.
How many sprays we got?
Boop, boop. So going through it, what's your first thought?
My first thought is that I want a little more trash and I want a little more combat. I'm sorry, I want a little more shooting.
Combat is not...
I do actually want a lot more combat. Unfortunately, with where sisters are right now, I think adding shooting is better than adding combat.
360 is what we got.
360,
so,
okay.
360. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to wait until the whatever Bloody Rose detachment comes out in the Codex. One would hope it exists. But, yeah, I think for now the combat is just not where it's at. So, what are you thinking about Vol?
Vol, so I like solo Vol. There is a 0% chance that I put a Paragon Warsuit in this list. Actually, 0.
Didn't think so.
I would rather put the Crusader in.
I was not. You notice I didn't ask about the Paragon Warsuit? Asked about Vol.
I like Vol.
I see Vol right there, and I want Vol.
Vol's a good, just like, kind of thing puttering around. So, looking at the elements that are here, there's nothing in this list that I want to cut. The only thing in my mind that's on the chopping block at all is the Vindicare Assassin, who's good and worth 80 points, but we're just going to see how the points work out. And the 2 Penitent Engines, which are good, but I think need to be taken in more than 2s. And so I might add Penitent Engines, I might cut Penitent Engines. I haven't decided yet.
What is what's their stat line?
Their stat line is slightly more durable than they should be for 60 points.
Interesting.
And then they have better flamers than they should for 60 points.
It's
a good combo.
That's a good combo. I like that. That really helps make up for Sister's lack of being durable in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so it's, I think it's a T6, 4 up armor, 5 wounds, 5 up feel no pain.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's, like, annoying to kill.
Advances in charges, does advance in shoot.
Its guns are assault.
And there are twin linked and torrent and ignores cover.
Yep. AP dash on those flamers, which caught me off. I assumed the double heavy flamer was in fact that, but it wasn't.
No, they're penitent flamers.
Yep. So they lost an AP, but they got twin linked. So like it works out.
And they got assault and advance in charge. So these boys are motoring around the battlefield.
Yep. So I want to keep. What I want to do, I think, is have more Penitent Engines, not less. But
totally
I don't think I can do 2. I don't think I can do 2.
I mean, is this a 6 sort of scenario? Get beef in there?
We could really do 6. That would be almost all of our points. And I want more shooting downfield. And this list is lacking a little bit for shooting.
I will say, Penitent Engines solve a lot of problems that Sisters have traditionally had.
Absolutely.
Because they are tonky, and also they hit in combat, and also, up close flaming people off the board is not really something that they
had trouble with.
They struggled with.
But we can always have more.
Yeah, I'm not sad about that. What does young Mortifier do?
It's actually very similar to a Penitent, but worse in like 3 ways.
Solid. Are they more expensive?
No, same cost.
Okay.
It doesn't advance in charge.
No, that is worse now that you mention it, actually.
They do get sustained hits 1 on the charge.
They have ballistic skill and weapon skill 3 instead of 4.
Yes, but the one thing to note about that wonderful sustained hits 1 that they gained is that to do so, they took sustained hits off of the weapon that the Penitent had.
No, I saw that. That was kind of a wild... So you get it on the charge. You don't get it off the charge. Penitent Engines always get it.
Yeah, I don't think that the Mortifier is good enough to spam. And I don't think that I want to cut anything to be like, we're actually taking 12 suits.
Would be funny, though.
It would be funny.
I
have 12 for a reason.
It's only 360 for 12 of them.
It's not impossible to fit.
No, hold on. I can't do math. It's 360 for 6.
720?
720 for 12.
The other thing that I want to add here, I want to either add or subtract Penitent Engines, and I really want Castigators.
I like Cassie.
I think in the context of, all right, what are we looking at here? Like, what can we get? I actually think I want the Castigator for, like, good shooting. It's just, we need more guns.
That is 100% true.
Sisters are a not fast army that does not, in my mind, punch hard enough to get away with being slow. You can't be slow, not amazing in combat, and bad at shooting. You've got to pack something here. Now, I personally think that I prefer the Castigator autocannons, but there's definitely arguments being made in both directions.
I do like when you target infantry, you reroll hits, and then you reroll wounds, and if you're at 24 inches, it's 8 shots.
Yeah.
That's quite nice.
Yep. But then the Castigator battle cannon happens to have Ignorcus cover baked in.
Oh, and is strength 10, which matters against a lot of toughness 5, 3 wound models.
Exactly. Yeah, I could go either way on Castigators.
Really could, yeah. Damn.
Yep. Yeah, they just reroll hits against their chosen thing, and then I believe they also cause the thing they hit to take
they take a battle shock.
Test. So really nice. Like I think 150 for a Cascadator, and they're not fragile. If you don't mind scrolling up just like an inch there. Yeah, they're not like amazingly tough, but that's a very standard profile.
Yeah.
And then you got Miracle Dice to try to supplement it.
And you got Miracle Dice to keep them alive, and then they shoot, and they don't get bracketed as badly as they did before.
Yep.
But you're not seeing Ballistics go 5 here.
Yes. And then the final thing that I want in this list is a Rhino.
A Rhino.
We've got Retributors on foot, and they just move 5, and they don't have any friends. And there's nothing sadder than a Retributor alone in the world.
How many does the Rhino hold?
12.
12. Well, that is exactly the number of models.
That's the number I wanted it to hold.
How many points is a Rhino?
It's either 75 or 80, depending on the book. My memory is that the Sisters version is 80, because obviously they can't make it the same.
The Thousand Suns one is 75,
yeah.
Obviously.
There's different ones. I can pull it up if you like.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So if we're looking at a Rhino, mm-hmm. right? Which I think you're right. I think it is 80. That leaves us with 280 points left. That could be a Castigator and 2 more Penitent Engines. And that leaves us with 10 points.
That is a fairly good balance. That's leaving the Vindicare in. If we cut the Vindicare, can we get something spicy?
Okay, so instead of 280, we would have 360, mm-hmm. which not really gonna get that much spicy out of it, I don't think anyway.
Yeah. Is it not just starting with an R? Or is it going to say it's a Sororitas Rhino?
Of course it is.
There it is. Sororitas Rhino 80. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a Sororitas Rhino, so there you go. Is there an enhancement we want?
If we have points left over, then Litanies of Faith is pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. How many points is it?
25.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not like mandatory.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So we haven't added in the Castigator and Penitent. If we cut that Vindicare, what I would honestly want to do, easy, honestly. So that leaves us with. Did you already factor in the 80 points there? Or
No, I didn't.
Okay, cool. Oh, you did. Cool. I missed. All right.
So that's what's left if we...
So 280...
That's what we have left.
Okay, so 64. So we have 360 left still because we just swapped that. We could do 2 Castigators, and that would leave us just a clean 60 points left. Unfortunately, you can't buy Penitent solo. They come in pairs.
I don't know. You can.
Really?
Yeah. I just saw it. Penitent Engines.
I love that you tried to do Penitent E and the Penitent Eviscerator is what got you.
Gosh darn.
Oh, they're 1 to 2 now.
Yeah, they're 1 to 2.
Oh man, that is.
Would you think they were 1 to 3?
I really thought they were 2 to 4 because that's what they used to be. But now that you say it, I remember being sad that I know that I can only take 6 of each.
Yeah.
But I still thought they were 2 to 4.
Yeah, listen, the full 24 Penitent or 24 Pain Engines or whatever the heck they're called.
What I genuinely might want to do there is add 2 Castigators and then split the Penitents up into 3 solo ones.
We don't have the... Oh, we do exactly
the points for that.
We can do that. I'm not against it.
I like splitting up Sisters units as much as possible because Miracle Dice are 1 per unit per phase. So a 2-man can use half as many Miracle Dices as 2 1-mans.
You do the Triumph here, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't... she can be an aura of use more, which is nice. But these things usually end up being away from her because she's slow and fragile. And if we do this, I also just generally like having more stuff to generate Miracle Ice when it dies. Because you just get a Miracle Ice every time a unit dies. And the one thing that we are missing that I really want here now is just more cheap things. Because Death Cult Assassins and Crusaders are very cheap.
Yes. And we've got a lot of cheap stuff and some amount of shooting.
Yeah. Does 2 Exorcists, 3 Castigators shoot hard enough for me to actually be happy?
2 extras, 3 Castigators, 2 units of Retributors, and that is it. And the answer is that we need to see it.
Yeah, we need to see that on the table.
Yeah.
St. Celestine and the Zephyrim squad I have liked. That is the best combat unit I've been able to find that is deliverable.
Yeah.
I mean, the Paragons technically hit harder, but at what cost?
Yes.
The Triumph has felt mandatory. I very much enjoyed having the Retributors with Dialogus when I've played them. One Battle Sister squad I think is mandatory.
Yeah, you just have a massive pool. By the time you have a massive pool, like 2s and 3s and stuff that you can't really use. 1s too now because they're bad now.
Yep.
You just pour them all into 6s, all into like an Overwatch. You're just like, I have 8 1s, 2s, and 3s, and those are all hits. Mm-hmm. Because the Triumph lets you use as many as you want, Dialogus flips them all to 6s.
Yep, absolutely.
Brrrt.
Yep. Yeah, I think...
I mean, I could see Vol or something coming into the list.
Yep, she's I think 135 for a very reasonably priced mini box knot that just hides behind walls and delivers beats.
Yeah, and I do like delivering beats.
I do like that. I think that what I would like... Really, I just want to have like a couple more cheap units because I think that a Crusader squad's only 25.
I mean, I'll be honest, this list has a lot of cheap units. Does it need more?
I want the Miracle Ice.
When they die?
It's 20 points for Crusaders. We could cut a Penitent Engine and get 3 Crusaders in.
I guess. They're 10 points a model and you take them squads of 2?
Yeah.
We were so close to having 12 Engines of Repentance. And now we're moving further away.
We were never close to that.
We were so close! Alright, so...
I think I would prefer that just to have 3 more units that generate Miracle Ice, go into places and do actions. Because Sisters don't go particularly fast.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Do we want Vol in any way?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I love Vol. I don't think she quite makes the cut.
I would include Vol no matter what, but that might be...
Mm-hmm. All right.
That might not be recommended.
Yeah.
So let me just make this look real nice.
Doop.
Look how much trash we have.
I genuinely believe that is a good idea for them.
We have so much trash. You've never seen this much trash. Look at that.
That, I believe, is 2K. Nice and simple. I'm glad we have a Rhino in there. I'm very sad that we don't have that knight anymore, but unfortunately, I think that was mandatory. I think it just had to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Mm-hmm. It's just... It's sad, really.
Yeah, you just want more engines?
I like my sister's list to punch in combat, and they just don't do that right now.
Yeah, that is... I would also like that.
Yeah.
I would also like that.
Yes. All right, so running over it again, it's the Triumph of St. Catherine, Celestine, 2 units of Dialogus, 10 Battle Sisters, 5 Retributors, 10 Zephyrim, 2 units of Death Cult Assassins, 3 units of Crusaders, 2 Exorcists, 3 Castigators, 2 solo Penitent Engines, and a Sororitas Rhino. Mm-hmm. All right.
3 Castigators. I just want to say it again. 3 Castigators.
3 Castigators. Cassie has never had so many friends.
I might even do a mix of battle cannons and autocannons, but I think that they're both great, and after doing a mix, you would find that one is better than the other. I'm just not sure which one it's going to be.
Yeah, I have no idea. It could be the autocannons. It could be the
I like Ignore Cover a lot, man.
Ignore's cover on a battle cannon is shockingly good because it used to be Ignore's cover only mattered in infantry, and now it matters into tanks severely, especially if you're AP1.
Yeah, especially AP1 not ignoring cover, I wouldn't even look.
AP1 rerolling hits
into tanks
and monsters. Mm-hmm. But that's where I want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where Cassandra's at. All right. We like it.
So before we move on, I'm going to
see some super chats.
That's right. So we got Relic Scuppin, member for 5 months. Brothers, this is my list, just a different email. So sad, super fun game against demons. Thank you. Thank you for being a member, and glad we could work on your list.
Absolutely.
Doug Henningsen, $5 super chat. What is your ATC team comp, and how do we beat it? I gave you $5. You have to tell me. Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
Real question, do Imperial Knights have an argument to be on the squad still?
So, first question. I don't think we even know what our ATC team is.
Nope.
We have determined 5 players.
Yes.
We have determined 0 factions. I haven't even looked, honestly. ATC hasn't put a list deadline up, so until they put up a list deadline, I don't think by my list. That's how those are the rules.
Yeah. Those are the rules.
Yeah. However, the real question, do Imperial Knights have an argument to be on the squad still? With the ATC terrain, I think Imperial Knights have a big argument to be on.
What, you mean the terrain that was... So, there's terrain that's really heavy on some of the boards, and you pick, right? There's a metagame to, you get a light board, you get a heavy board or whatever, because every team pairing is you get some amount of heavy boards, some amount of light boards, and you pick. But the light boards are, I bought a TV one time, and...
Yeah, and we got some foam packaging.
And we got some foam packaging with the TV, and that's your terrain. And Knights on that are vicious still.
Absolutely. As well, the heavy boards are a ton of windows.
That's true.
Yep.
It'd be a shame someone just saw right through it.
You see right through them. So I would double check to see if ATC is planning to do a first floor window block policy. I haven't seen anything about that, but I would probably go relook at that if I was considering Knights myself. I think Imperial Knights absolutely have an argument to be competitive still. Yes, they were amazing. Yes, they took a points increase. I personally wish they had handled that situation differently, but that's how they did it. And I think Knights are still pretty darn good.
Yes.
So if you have a Knight player, yeah, Knights are worth looking at.
Yeah. And regarding our team comp, our players are me and John, Nick and Siegs, and Quentin. Quentin Rampage Johnson. So if you can figure out our team comp from that, first off, you will be ahead of us, because we don't know it yet, but that should give you some idea of what armies we'll play.
There you go.
All right. We have a $2 super chat from Relic Scuppin, again, saying you guys made my day. Thank you.
Relic Scuppin, so glad we could help. Thank you so much for submitting a list and being part of the Art of War community.
Yep. It's always great seeing you in the chat, so I'm glad we could get to your list. If it had your name on it, I definitely would have picked it. But, just a happy coincidence. Votan Syndicate has another super chat. What are your thoughts on Vol plus Paragons?
I love Vol. She's 135 points. She does not buff the army in any way, shape, or form. But gosh darn it, she is kind of cheap. And she still hits in combat. Not as hard as before, but she still hits. My big thing is that I am very lukewarm on Paragons. They are not bad, but they are expensive. They're the same durability as before with a 4-up invuln without -1 damage. And cover's pretty easy to get, so I think that 4-up invuln's a little less important. Now, they can always reroll hits and wounds while Vol is attached, but I worry that an 18-inch multi-melta is difficult to deliver.
Yeah. Especially on a vehicle chassis.
Yeah, on a vehicle chassis, that's just a little awkward. And there could be some threat, honestly, with rapid ingressing it. But let's switch back to Sisters list for just a moment. Just let people see the final version, since we're not talking Sisters.
Screenshots are your friends.
Screenshots are your friends. I think that the Paragon package is just a little bit too expensive. I'll probably put it on the table because I love Morven Vol, and I have 9 Paragons already painted. Luckily, I only built the most expensive options, so lol, now it's free. But I don't think it's going to make a competitive list because the cost of that package ends up being a little bit too much.
Yeah. Apparently, the update dropped today for what maps ATC is using.
Oh, fun.
GW layouts every table and all windows block.
Oh, well, that's actually quite useful.
GW layouts every table is going to be very interesting.
I'm curious to see how they pull that off.
Yep. Phil V with a $10 super chat. I'm going to click over to the...
It's another Sisters one.
Judy plus a Magifier plus Sacrosanct. Competitive?
I assume Judy is Junith. Yeah, that's what makes sense. Yep, so Junith the Magifier and Sacrosanct competitive. Borderline. I've played with that. I was, slightly unimpressed. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And I actually don't think that the Magifier can join a unit with Junith.
Is there something else that could be called Judy?
But, I don't think that anything can join the unit with Junith. I can't think of what else Judy would be. That has to be Junith. Phil V, let us know if Judy equals Junith. That's really what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Just the N or D is throwing me off. The problem is that all of these Sisters Elite characters, if you could just pull this up to confirm, I believe they all have a rule that says that, and I think it's on the Magifier datasheet, that they can join a Battle Sister squad that has a thing. Not like a Sisters unit, like a Battle Sister squad.
Yes. They can join a Battle Sister squad even if a Candace Palatine or Junith Eruita are joined to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they can't join just anything. It is only Battle Sisters.
Yeah. If I could put both of those characters in, I would be much more likely to do that.
Judy is Junith. But yes,
perfect.
you cannot join
Phil.
2 characters to Sacrosanct. You can join 2 characters to Battle Sisters, or you can join them each individually to Sacrosanct.
Yeah, I tried Sacrosanct and Junith as like a unit to have Junith, and then like if Junith is there, they get the -1 to wound, which is nice. But I found that having a 3-up save meant they died too fast. And then I looked at, what if I do in a Magifier? And then I was like, then this unit doesn't have a reason to exist. It's just a 2-up save. But it's no longer -1 to wound, which means it's situationally better, sometimes worse. You're just trading situational defense. Then the Magifier has less inherent value than Junith does. And I found the CP weren't that important for Sisters. So I unfortunately have cut the Sacrosancts from my list. They were definitely like an on the line though, which means if you like those models, if you just painted them, I think you could get them in a list. They're not bad, but they're just right hovering on the edge of make it or don't to a competitive list.
Yeah. And then Phil V again with a super chat.
Thank you so much.
$20 super chat. Thinking of running 4 Crusaders, Leader, Preacher, plus 6 Death Cult Assassins and a Canoness and a Rhino with an Eversur falling around. Crazy, or could this punch up?
I actually kind of love the 6 Death Cult Assassins.
They go in squads of up to 6?
Yeah.
Solid.
They're like, they don't hit insanely hard, but they don't hit soft. And they have fun rules.
They have precision.
And
reroll wounds against characters.
And they have fight first.
And they hit on 2s.
I believe it's a wound roll of 1 against characters.
My bad, yes.
But
reroll
still,
wound roll of 1.
If you find something to precision out, 6 of them is 24 weapon skill 2 attacks with precision, and they fight first.
And they are not that. They're 105.
It's 105.
They have a 5-up invul and 1 wound. They are very easy to kill, but also they're not easy to kill if they're in a Rhino.
Yeah. And I actually think that the best Battle Conclave thing to jump out is unfortunately the Death Cult Assassins or the Arcoflagellants.
Yeah, I saw the Arcoflagellants when the book came out, and I was just like, wow, these things are, they're real good.
They still hit pretty hard, so if I were trying to put a second unit in there, I think I would do that over the Crusaders. I don't think that the Preacher brings enough to Crusaders for me to justify investing. I think Crusaders are just trying to be as cheap as possible.
Yeah, so Arcoflagellants... wow, they have 2 wounds still and feel no pain 4+.
They're very thick.
And then you get 6 attacks and hazardous with sustained hits and twin linked, and that's just a lot of attacks.
Yeah. So in my mind, I think the Death Cult Assassins are funny and can work. And then I think if you want a second unit of that Rhino, you either lean into the meme and take more Death Cult Assassins, or you take either a small unit like a Retributor squad and one's combat, one's shooting, or you do just a full Rhino of Arcoflagellants.
Yeah.
What does the Preacher give?
Preacher gives them +1 to wound, and then somebody, I think, gives them reroll hits. Every time this model makes an attack. Cool.
Yeah, no, not the units. The Canoness can give a unit reroll hits, but I don't think she can join those units.
Yeah, no.
All right, so I think that is the conclusion of our Sisters Rampage.
That is the conclusion of what we got here. So last up, this one actually got hit with actual nerfs that actually exist. It did. It did.
Yep.
So let's transition over to the last list. We've got Tilted Turtwig's Imperial Fists Gladius Task Force.
I thought it was Tilted Turtwig. If Turtwig is a verb, then it's until Ted.
Turtwigs? Yeah. No. Stop. Please. All right. So, last list for today. We got Tilted Turtwig's Imperial Fist Gladius Task Force. If you want to read that out, I will look up if there's any comments.
Absolutely. So, the Captain in Terminator armor is carrying the Honor Vehement with his grenade launcher, combi weapon, and power fist. Good for you, Captain Terminator armor. Then we have a Primaris Apothecary, love that. Primaris Librarian with Bolter Discipline, also love that. I know where that bad boy is going. Torgaradon, what a Chad. Torgaradon, of course, is making this list Imperial Fists. 10 Heavy Intercessors, aka Torgaradon's Beat Squad. An Impulsor with Loadout Advice. 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, a Gladiator Lancer. 5 Hellblasters, Scout Bikers, Scout Snipers. 5 Terminators with Assault Cannons. 3 Inceptors, and a 10-strong Desolation squad.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go in and touch this up just a little bit. All right, 340 is a little more reasonable.
Just went up 100 points.
Yes.
We probably deserve that.
Definitely deserve that. In fact, be surprised if they didn't end up going up more at some point in the edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly. It's may not be the last time we've seen Desolation.
They are now 15 points cheaper than they were last edition, and check notes better. Yeah, they were 185.
Oh, okay, for 5.
For 5,
yes.
sorry.
Okay, perfect. Yep, we're good. I was like, I thought it was more than 15 cheaper. Yeah, 10 Desolators are still choice.
Yes.
That part of the list is staying.
Yes.
That part of the list stays.
Actually, no, so they're 20 points cheaper for a squad of 10 than they used to be last edition. And they are better.
And they're better.
So I think they will go up at some point.
Good.
Is my guess. As far as comments go, we've got, you guys asked for lists, so here's my first try at a 10th edition list. Hellblasters and Apothecary drive around in the Impulsor. Ballistae and Lancer for anti-tank, scouts for mission play. Termes for deep strike threat with Captain. Torgaradon holds mid with the heavy intercessors. Inceptors can come down meteoric assault and nuke enemy indirect. Bolter Discipline Desos need no explanation.
Okay.
That is correct.
So there's a lot of elements of this list that I like a lot. Including Torgaradon. Real quick for the chat, because no one knows what Torgaradon does, including me of an hour ago, but I do now. Torgaradon gives his unit lethal hits. He's a Gravis captain with pretty good weapons. He also gives his unit ignores cover. Then he himself is better at punching vehicles and fortifications and monsters, where he gets +2 strength AP damage in shooting and combat against those profiles, but it's only him, it's not his attached friends. But still, that does make him a very funny strength 14, AP 4, damage 4 power fist into the things that require that.
Also, in shooting, his anti-vehicle 2+, AP 3, damage 4 is like not nothing. In addition, I mean, it would have been very funny if it applied to his unit. Like, you're running around with AP 3, damage 3 bolters.
That would not be okay.
I know.
If Torgaradon applied to his unit, then
it would be gross and stupid. He'd be 300 points or something. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. As cool as Torgaradon is, he buffing a 10-man heavy intercessors gives a very funny brick that is like not as easy to kill as you'd like it to be. And then they're just chilling around saying, you know what, this is 20 shots. If you wouldn't mind pulling up a heavy intercessor, I believe it's 20 shots at just ignore cover lethal hits, and it'll add up with Oath that does a decent amount, but it's mostly a brick that's trying to live. So this list is going to stay Imperial Fists. We're not going to try to change the chapter here, even though I could just windmill slam, Guilliman into any Space Marine list at all with no regrets.
Yeah, of course.
There's 2 ways for this list to be Imperial Fists. You take Torgaradon or you take Lysander. I like Torgaradon. I do want to look at Lysander as well. And that heavy intercessor gun, could you read that regular bolt rifle to me?
So the heavy bolt rifle, which is what you have, is assault heavy. It is 2 shots at ballistical 3, it's strength 5, AP 1, damage 1. So it is a bolt rifle with 6 inches of extra range and +1 strength, and that is it.
Okay. That is genuinely a good gun to have ignores cover on.
Yes.
And lethal hits means that it can do a little better anti-tank than you'd expect, although it's still not insane anti-tank. It's mostly just trying to lethal hits and Oath kill an infantry squad. Yep. But it does kind of need the Oath there.
If they're on an objective, they get +1 save against damage 1.
Mm-hmm. Woo. Here's my little bit of problem. The heavy intercessor unit, I think its value is, it's slightly better at shooting than intercessors. It doesn't cost that much more than intercessors. It's 15 points for a significant defensive upgrade and a little bit more offense. But I think the good part about heavy intercessors is that they are annoying to kill for their value. And as soon as you make that unit about 300 points, it's 320 once you make it 10 and attach Torgaradon, it is still hard to kill, but 320 points is the point where someone might just be like, well, now you're worth killing.
It's possible. I know what you're gearing up for, and I'm not against it.
What do you think I'm gearing up for here?
You're gearing up for Darnith, Lysander, and the Terminators become a 10-man.
That's true.
Yes.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Yeah. No, I realized at the moment you were like, yeah, we're not making this not Imperial Fists. I was like, oh, interesting.
Uh-huh.
So, do you know how many points Darnith Lysander is?
I will find out very quickly, but I think he's insultingly low is my memory. I can tell you very quickly. We're almost there. would you like to hazard a guess on Darnith Lysander?
I'm going to say
let's explain why we want Darnith Lysander. So Darnith Lysander is a Terminator character who hits like a better Thunderhammer and is as tough as a Terminator character. What he does is he makes his attached Terminator unit -1 to wound, and once per game pops a 2+ invulnerable save for himself. Lysander does bring beats.
Yeah. Yeah, he hits fairly hard.
Yeah, he's 5 attacks at 10-3 dev wounds, hits on 2s. It is a better Thunderhammer.
That is a good Thunderhammer.
It's what, +1 weapon skill, +2 strength, +1 attack, +1 AP. That's a Thunderhammer.
+1 damage.
Oh, sorry, I said attack AP. I meant AP damage. Yep.
Yeah.
And once again, 2-up invuln. He's very hard to kill if he's the last man standing. Also, lol, let's go ahead and just add in -1 to wound for his Terminator squad against things that are high strength. I love that.
I like that.
I like Darnith a lot.
Seems good. Is that the point where do we take Terminators with Assault Cannon? Do we take Relic Terminators?
I honestly just like I like the regular Terminator squad, but we could do Relic Terminators as well.
I think Relic Terminators are a little better.
Yeah, because it's basically comparing the Reaper Autocannon to the Assault Cannon.
Which is very close.
Very close. I think Relic Terminators are 5 points cheaper.
They are 5 point. They're 1 point cheaper per dude. Mm-hmm. They don't have to take a power sword on the sergeant.
Okay.
I will be honest. I would take regular Terminators just so I can use the new models.
Yeah, it's so close. But you know what? Let's go ahead and make them Relic Terminators at 200, and if we have 10 points at the end, I'm willing to just flip it either way. Yeah. So Relic Terminators.
I'm just going to cut to the chase.
10. Yeah, we'll figure out War Gear in a second. Autocannons. And everything else is free. I mean, also that, but everything's free.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just take all the rest of the upgrades.
Cool.
How many points is Darnith Lysander?
For that profile, I mean, did you have a guess?
80?
Oh, no. Okay, it's not that cheap. He's 115.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to ruin
the... Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
In that context, I think the heavy intercessors, I'm okay with them, but I think I want them to be smaller. I think I just want like a 5-man heavy intercessor. For 110 points, it's how easy to kill are 5 heavy intercessors. They're annoying to kill. Because they're T6.
Yeah, they're obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, could you kill them? Sure, but it's heavy intercessors, man. You're going out of your way for this?
Yeah.
Now, other things in this list. I think that Lysander has replaced the need for a captain in Terminator armor, but that means that we don't have a captain, period. So we could evaluate a captain going somewhere, but in my mind, Darnith is the guy for the terms.
Yeah, you don't have free strats anymore. You don't have the Honor Vehement. I don't know, man. I think they're fairly comparable, to be honest with you, but...
It's true, but let's be honest here. Darnith is better in combat than an Honor Vehement Power Fist captain. So it's free strat versus the thick stat line of Darnith Lysander with a -1 to wound.
And you can still do the stratagems. You just don't get to double up on them.
Yeah.
And then you get the -1 to wound, which makes them quite tonky.
Yeah. It is quite thick.
Yeah, Honor Vehement is what?
+1 strength and attack. If you're an Assault Doctrine, +2 strength, +2.
Doesn't add to damage?
Doesn't add to damage.
I thought it did.
Read it this morning, but let's double check. Maybe there's an AP in there instead of one of those two. I know that it's 2 things.
Attacks and strength.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I'm of the opinion that Darnith Lysander is better than the captain, because you could always take a captain somewhere else, and then free strat is great, but like -1 to wound.
Yeah, I agree.
If I had a -1 to wound strat, I would spend that as my strat every time.
That's true. And now you can spend that and Armor of Contempt.
Yep, and it's just passive, so...
So Darnith Lysander's promoted himself up to
the top?
Up to the top. He's the top boy.
Right. Let's look at the other 2 characters and where they're going.
Yes.
The one that has Bolter Discipline, which is currently the Librarian, although I'm going to honestly pitch to switch that. The one that has Bolter Discipline attaches to the Desolators. This is a fixed point. It's a canon event.
I think we should address the super chat here instead of it after the list.
Fair enough.
Chris Todd is a $5 super chat for Space Marines question. Why would I put Bolter Discipline on Desolators versus something else they can get it like Stern Guard or Hellblasters? What am I missing?
Okay, so very simple. The Desolator squad always shoots. On the turn that the Stern Guard shoot, I would rather the Stern Guard have Bolter Discipline than the Desolators. On the turn, the Stern Guard come out and shoot. Here's the thing. The Stern Guard really aren't shooting turn 1. On the turn they should come out, yeah, they're shooting. They're all shooting. It's great. You're in Dev Doctrine. Both their disciplines hilarious. Your opponent cries. I love that part.
You do, actually.
After the Stern Guard shoot, one of two things happens. Either my opponent crumples up into a small paper bag, and I just, like, put him in a recycling bin, or they kill the Stern Guard immediately, because they're like, absolutely never again.
That cannot happen a second time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, they drop a hammer. And at that point, turns 3, 4, 5, I either am decidedly winning, or the Desolators are still behind the wall shooting.
Yeah, and also, they shoot turn 1. It's a lot easier to play around another, like a squad of guys walking around 6.
Yeah.
6 inches. Like, it's very easy to play around that.
5 turns of sweet, sweet indirect. Like...
Yeah, and they also, when they finally do step out, they have a much longer range, and they just crater a vehicle into the ground.
Yeah, when you step out into range and you pop Oath, I'm hitting on 4s, exploding 5s, and you're like, yes, my Desolator hits on 4s, that'll be 120% hit rate.
Yep.
It's like, oh no.
9 shots, 13 hits, let's go.
Yeah, like, it's so... It's about that. It's very... Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's great. So I just think that Bolter Discipline on Desolators is money. The Librarian and the Apothecary are 2 great choices that can attach to Desolation squads. There is the third rarely seen option of an Ancient, which will not be appearing in this list. I personally prefer the Apothecary. 1, counter indirect.
Yeah, they shoot you, you lose 3 guys, you regen 1, you shoot
1,
them back.
shoot back. The Bolter or the Primaris Librarian does give a 4-up invuln, but realistically, a Desolator squad behind a wall is getting essentially a 2-up save. So your opponent needs AP 3 before we're even approaching needing a 4-up invuln. If they have AP 3 indirect, not that common, then it's, do I just pop Armor of Contempt on the Desolator squad? Yeah, probably. Also, we're now flipping. The Primaris Apothecary could be healing these Hellblasters, or the Hellblasters could have a 4-up invuln.
How many points is Bolter Discipline?
25 off memory. Let me just double check that for you.
That sounds right. Less than it should be, is what
Absolutely.
I remember.
Yeah, same points as reroll 1 Miracle Dice. There you go. Bolter Discipline.
Sweet. So this becomes 80 points. Great. He's also cheaper than Librarian, which is a hell of a drug. Yeah, that's 420. And you can just blaze your opponent clean out of the game.
Absolutely. I will. And I will not apologize while I'm doing it. Now we've got the Primaris Librarian who can join Hellblasters. I'm cool with that. We've got the Impulsors themselves. I like an Impulsor with 5 Hellblasters. I think I actually want to keep that. Okay.
And you think of the Librarian, or you think the Librarian goes the way of the dodo?
Could the Librarian become a captain now that we don't have a captain?
Where would he go?
Hellblasters is the problem, is that we don't have another unit that really wants to be it.
How many points are we at right now? We've cut a bunch of stuff, and we've added a bunch of stuff.
Let me get a quick just refresh.
I mean, we know this Apothecary is going in there, so I'm going to give it the spot of honor there.
There you go.
So Librarian is fallen down into the maybe
plus
cut
80, zone. Plus 70, plus 1 unit of that, plus 95, plus 340 for the 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, plus 145.
Yep.
Plus 125, plus 75. Plus 75. There we go. Here. I was like, this is way too low. Wait a minute. There's a 400-point Terminator unit.
Yeah, there is.
Then there's a 340-point that unit. Then there's the Inceptors. So we're at 2,085 at the moment. So obviously,
we are over.
That's over and
yes.
Not going to last.
That is. Bye-bye. See you, Primaris Librarian.
I actually have... Hold on. Put him back.
Okay. All right. He's back.
There's a couple things to consider here. One, there's the Scout Bikers and the Scout Snipers. I'm going to be honest here, I love Scout Snipers so much that I didn't read what a Scout Biker does. Jack, would you do me the honors of figuring out if the Scout Biker unit is about to have 1 word changed, or if there's something...
No, it's 100% getting a word change.
I just want to do my due diligence here.
All right, Scout's 9.
Cool.
And then when it arrives from Strategic Reserves, it can be set up within your opponent's DC.
So on turn 2?
Yes.
It outflanks better?
Yep.
But then it doesn't get to use its Scout Live?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, that's gone.
Very simple, right? It just becomes...
Big simple. The points are the same. How can
it doesn't have to switch around at all. Scout Snipers are bananas.
Yeah.
They are so good.
Things that I want here. The Ballistus Dreadnought is a good anti-tank platform. I don't think it's great.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I think I would rather switcheroo the balance of Gladiators to Ballistus.
You're thinking cut a Ballistus for a Gladiator?
I think so. That frees up, a very convenient 25 points as well.
Enough to cut the Primaris Librarian, and then we're Gucci.
If we cut the Primaris Librarian, we'd be Gucci right there, which I think is where this is going, yeah.
Bye!
Yeah, love him, not that much.
See you, homie. Do you think Inceptors actually do real damage to indirect?
Funny enough, I actually like Inceptors a lot.
So, I think if we're looking to win the Deso War...
Yes.
Which, to be fair, we are.
Everyone is, yeah.
Everyone is. I think you take Bolters instead of the Incinerators.
The Bolters are pretty good. I am, somehow completely unopposed to Bolters. It's just a wild turn of events.
Yeah, let me see what they exactly their profile.
I think it's sustained hits 2 is what sold me.
It's sustained hits, yeah. Sustained hits 2, twin linked assault pistol, and you just drop in, you see your opponent, and you go Oath of Moment, and then you Burt them off the table.
Yeah, whereas the Plasma is assault pistol hazardous twin linked?
Yes.
Okay. So either way you're assault, which actually makes me really happy. They can deep strike 3 inches away, which makes me incredibly happy.
That is very difficult to screen out.
Yep.
And they do kinda just pick up a lot of Desolators.
Yeah, if you spend the CP to ignore his cover while in Dev Doctrine, and then you're like, surprise, AP2 ignores cover, and you're my Oath target, stunning amount of damage there.
Yeah.
I am in favor of the Inceptor Squad.
I've always liked the Bolter unit.
I have never liked the Bolter unit, but now I do.
There's I've always
wanted to like it.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. We're in agreement now.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of Plasma Boys through the years.
No, the Plasma has always been better, but I've always liked the look of the Assault Bolters. The thing that's nice about the Inceptors is if your opponent tags them, they can still do actions while they're in combat because they have a pistol.
Yeah. Or they can shoot. Or you can fall back and shoot and because you're Space Marines.
Yeah, you also just shoot into combat.
I also like that they can, you could Rapid Ingress them 3 inches away to get a sneaky objective grab if someone didn't do it properly.
Oh, because it can do it at all times when it's set up.
Yeah, just deep strike 3 away.
Oh, that's so good!
Yeah, I actually think we are at a clean 1990, and I think we stay at 1990 because if you want to, you can replace 10 Relic Terminators with 10 Terminators.
I probably would because the new models are sweet, and I literally would just do it like that.
And I'm okay with that. I really personally prefer the Terminators because of the volume on the assault cannon. But then the Reaper autocannon is a better gun. But if it's purely Mortal City, I think the
Reaper has sustained. So
it is. It's almost as good. But I'd rather be 6 shots than 4.
Sustained. It is very close. The range helps out a lot.
Yeah.
But I will say, what sells it for me is I personally would pay the 10 points to play with the new Terminator models.
Yep. I believe
I 100% would at a tournament. That's what I would do. On balance, they're very close. I have the free points either way. I would just be I'm playing with the new models.
The one other thing that I believe that the Relic Terminators lack is a teleport helmet.
That's
dope. Not significant, but it's nice.
So
basically, if you're going to be deep striking, having that threat, it's nice.
You get a better weapon on the Sergeant in Relic Terminators. You get a better gun on the Sergeant because he gets a Volkite thingy-mabob.
Yeah.
You get better range, slightly fewer shots, but sustained hits. It's very close.
Yeah.
I want to play with the new models.
Done.
Boom.
Yep. If you want to do Relic Terminators instead, no problem. If you want to do regular Terminators instead, no problem. We're right on that points threshold where it fits either way. I think this is where I would end an Imperial Fist list. This looks great.
Yeah, I like it.
I like the Impulsor Hellblaster combo for
speed. What are we thinking for the loadout advice for the Impulsor?
Oh, God. Can you pull it up? It's all free, so those ones. I think that the armor save and cover meta right now means that I don't actually care about a 5-up invuln. I think I'd rather have the orbital just because we don't have any free strat stuff.
Yeah, that's likely true.
Yeah, and if it's just kind of piddling in the back within 6 inches of the Inceptor squad while it waits.
Orbital comms.
Orbital comms, and then your choice of whip missiles. I don't really rate the ballistic missile. I don't think that one strike 8 shot matters. The Bellicatus missile array. I honestly think I'm just going double frag storm, and I think the Sky Talon array might be instead of the comms, which means I'm not taking it.
Yeah. Well, so is the Bellicatus. So it doesn't
so I think
matter.
it's just comms and frag storms.
Right, yeah, you get Bellicatus, Iron Hail, Sky Talon, Orbital Comms, or Shield Dome, so we're going to Orbital Comms. You take the free Heavy Stubber, and you go with Storm Bolters, right? Or Frag Storms?
I actually like Frag Storms for Blast, because when you find a Neophyte squad, you're surprise, more shots, not less.
Okay.
That's where I land.
All good. So Bolter Inceptors fire 3 shots per guy now, but they are twin-linked, and they've sustained hits 2. So every 6 you roll is going to be 3 hits, which makes up for that quite a lot.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our last list for the day, but we had a couple more super chats before we work our way downtown.
Absolutely. If you want to run this list yourself or something, now would be the time to take a screenshot, or we can scroll back and take a screenshot. Either way. 3, 2, 1. All right, now you see our beautiful faces.
There you go.
Fate Stay Dreamer with a $10 super chat. Hey guys, Ivrain plus Vizark plus 12 troops, Lilith plus witches, 3x5 scourges, 3x5 specters, 3 ravagers, 3 hornets, and the Incarn, 27 las cannon equivalents, and a bunch of fight first blenders. Thoughts?
That is a lot of las cannon equivalents.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
27 las cannon equivalents.
I don't think you can actually. I don't think this list is legal. Because 3x5 Scourges, 360 points. 3 Ravagers are 285. And I believe you can only take 500 points of Dark Eldar in...
Okay, so you cut a Ravager and put in another cheap Eldar vehicle with lances. I'm sure you can find one.
You probably honestly cut 2 Scourges. Quentin and I were having this discussion yesterday, I think.
Cut like 1 Scourge Squad, you mean?
2 Scourge Squad. You gotta be under 500.
Oh, can you do 3 Ravagers, 2 Scourge Squads?
That... does not fit.
Okay, well, if it doesn't fit, then cut to below 500 points.
Yes.
That's definitely where we start.
Yeah, it's 525.
Oh, okay, then yeah. All right, fair. Okay, so I like the concept of taking a bunch of lances in an Eldari list. I really want the Incarn in here for the shenanigans. There it is. It's at the end, actually. I saw Ivrain, thought that wasn't the Incarn, but then she snuck in the back end. So 3 Ravagers, 3 Hornets, bunch of lance shots. We have to cut some of that. I wanted something a little more solid in the list. Like just a unit that can like survive.
You can put 1,000 points in Inari?
Oh wow, that's
if you can Quentin lied directly to my face.
In that case, Fate Stay Dreamer, if you can put 1,000 points in Inari, then that is going to change the math on this. And screw it.
It's not taking Scourges out of the list, I'll tell you that much.
Definitely not doing that. I think if you want to do Ynnari, this looks really fun. I want a little more, either something solid that can take a small amount of a hit, or something that can go do a little bit of combat besides the Incarn. The Incarn's great, don't cut the Incarn, but I want the ability to take a little more. I think it's at the top.
I think it's at the top there.
I thought so.
Oh, here we go, Ynnari. You include Yukari units in your army, combined point value of Eldari.
Up to 1,000.
It is?
It sure is.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Good call, Fate Stay Dreamer.
There you go. All right.
Conceptually, I like
have
this.
words with Quentin later.
Oh man, that's 6 units that fire and fade. I think my problem is that you have 6 vehicles, aka 3 Ravagers, 3 Hornets, that are somewhat fragile, poking out, doing lance things. I love having teleporting shenanigans off the Incarn. I love having 6 different 5-man idiot infantry squads that shoot harder than they should and fire and fade afterwards.
Yes, it's a little weak to indirect, but so is a lot of things.
So are we all. I just want something a little more solid instead of some of those vehicles. Do the Ravagers get the reroll hit and wound? Wow.
Yeah. So do the Scourges, yeah. Because it's just if you are Eldari, and boy are they.
Thank you for making me mad.
All right. We've got a 65 Swedish krona super chat from Oscar Steen. Woo-hoo! Does a Deep Strike or Spore Mine remove GSC ambush markers? Rule needs enemy unit to end a move in range of the marker while being set up is not that. Actually, being set up is that. Counts as ending a move.
Yep.
So you count as having made a normal move when you are set up. It's the reason why you can't Deep Strike in and get the +1 to hit off heavy weapons.
Indeed. So that will do it right there. And yes, it'll remove the marker. Okay, and then we already got the super chat from Fate Stay Dreamer.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I think that is going to wrap us up for this episode of Fix My List. If you enjoyed this, please let us know that you liked it by hitting the like button. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of these changes. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel to get notified when we go live in the future. It really helps us grow. And if you want to get on Fix My List yourself, what you want to do is you want to become a member of the Art of War Discord. There are 2 ways to do that. If you become a member of our YouTube community, you can do that right here. Or go to our website, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a link right in the description. And sign up for a free trial of The Worm. That'll get you into the Art of War Discord. You can go to the Fix My List section. You can post your lists. We pick 3 lists from that every week. We don't pick every list, though we wish we could. But perhaps we'll pick yours. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you, Jack, for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.